very pleasant good evening to all of you out there. Welcome into Midstate 48, presented by Miracle Auto Group. Getting you ready for the Division I semifinals around the Nashville area. My name is Chris Brooks. Let's bring in everybody on the show. We go 5 wide tonight. Everybody back in here and mostly at 100% with one possible exception. Joe's trying to recover from last weekend's Knoxville excursion where he thinks he may have caught something up there.
Cam, I told you not to lose him. I didn't, but I should have told you to bring him back in one piece.
He's calling it the flu. I just think he may have caught some fandom of the Vols, and it's sickening in itself right now.
And he's choking on it.
After that game, absolutely not.
Hey, you did get to see the decibel record get broke, though, on that first touchdown run. So
it was quite cool.
And Dolly Parton, too.
Yeah, there you go.
So, hey, check that off your concert list. That counts.
I've seen Dolly plenty of times. That was nothing new.
All right. Well, guys, 2 more weeks of this stuff.
Yep. Boy, it went quick, didn't it?
Yeah, Scott, interesting perspective for you tonight. That background looks a little expensive.
Yeah, it doesn't belong to me.
Scott hit the lottery.
guys, that's not a wallpaper, by the way. A couple weeks ago, I had a wallpaper behind me that looked like a real nice living room. That's not a wallpaper.
No, I'm up with one of my more. Let's just put. I'm the black sheep of the family. No, I'm up here in Mecca for Joe. I'm up in South Bend, Indiana. Here visiting family and enjoying Thanksgiving, and yeah, we have a very nice venue for me to do the show from tonight. Everybody's in the other room. If you hear something every once in a while, they're all in there enjoying themselves, and as usual, I'm relegated to the garage.
And just to show that we cover more than 1 or 2 states, KJ's out in Texas enjoying the holiday week.
Still repping the beach helmet though.
Yeah. Hey, this helmet put me some of my best years.
So, KJ, I do have to ask, do you wish that they would have broke out the new helmets while you were still playing?
Yeah, I was actually
they're
vouching
sweet
for them. They're so tough. I've been vouching for them since I was like a junior, but
If y'all do not know, my favorite in the clubhouse for next year's Helmet Madness, as you'll see, the old school Bucks logo on a beach helmet looks really good.
We'll definitely spice up things a little bit.
Yeah, there are going to be some good helmets I think out there next year. So I'm looking forward to that.
Let's dive right in. Mr. Football finalists were announced last night on the Mike Vrabel show, and there are a couple names that we need to talk about that should have been on this list, but we'll go through the finalists first. Cornersville's Ben Franklin, Dresden's Cameron Schlicht, and Moore County's Dawson White are the 1A finalists. 2A, it's East Robertson's Isaiah Groves, Darian Messer from Mount Pleasant, and Riverside Stone Wallace. 3A finalists for Darius Jackson from Sheffield, Skyland Smith from Covington, and Alcoa's Brandon Winton Jr. And all Midstate finalists in 4A was Gabe Borders from Macon County, and then Pearl County Zion Simpson Smith and Keyshawn Tarleton are the final 3 there. Page's Eric Hazard, Southwind's Kelvin Perkins, and Centennial's Dominic Reed are the 5A finalists. 6A, it's Boo Carter from Bradley Central, Riverdale's Braden Graham, and Oakland's DeJuan Morris. Division II Class A, Jalen Mosley from Jackson Christian, Brian Shields from First Assembly Christian, and Friendship Christian's Tyson Walcott. Knoxville Webb's Mark Case Barrett, FRA's Ty Clark, and Cruz Law from CPA and AA. AAA, it is Lipscomb Academy's Caleb Beasley, Macaulay's Carson Gentle, and Baylor's Amari Jefferson are the 3 finalists there. And the Kicker of the Year finalist, Tullahoma's Grant Chadwick, Mount Juliet's Daniel Echeverria, and Knoxville Hall's Owen Taylor. Guys, where should we start? And Joe, I'm going to start with you. I know you've got some thoughts on this. Who got left off that shouldn't have been?
Eli Wilson. Hey, he was the easy choice. When I saw that he wasn't on there, it kind of threw me for a loop. He's the best player on arguably the best team in the state. He's done everything. I think I think all three of those kids are obviously deserving. Obviously, Thompson Walcott set it's a regular season award, but over 2,000 yards rushing, 36 touchdowns in the regular season. Jalen Mosley had a big year, so did Brian Shields. But you just look at the body of work for Eli Wilson. It's hard to he's not a finalist right now.
Yeah, I know we talked about that beforehand, and we were kind of surprised to see him left off, and we were all expecting him to be one of the final three. Scott, what about you?
One that jumped out at me was probably Keyshawn Tarleton for Pearl Cone. That offense has been on fire, and a lot of it starts with him. I know. He made a finalist. Never mind. Okay. I'm sorry. I looked at the list wrong.
I'll back you right there, though, and I'll stay with Pearl Cone. I mean, Javion Kennard really should have been mentioned in at least in this group. I mean, a lot of that offense has gone through him too, and I know he's not gotten a ton of carries because they've been in blowouts, but he's done so much for them this year that to have his name not mentioned, at least in that conversation, yeah, they kind of missed it there.
Yeah, I thought so.
Cam, what you got?
Well, it's that time of the show.
Oh, yeah.
I understand the argument of this particular player not being on a playoff team. But when you put his numbers up against these three guys, he's comparable with the two of them. And the third one is not on the same level as those top three. So I feel like Cole Gregory may have been slighted just a little bit for being on a 500 team instead of being on a postseason team. So that's definitely where I go. Cole Gregory did everything for that Yellow Jacket team. Over 2,000 all-purpose yards, over 20 touchdowns, 80 tackles on defense. I mean, it just goes on and on and on. And it does get looked at a little bit with Mr. Football guys' career numbers and career, but he played nearly every position on the field over his 4-year career at Charleston County. So great career, great season by Cole Gregory. He deserves to be on this list, but ultimately Isaiah Groves should win it. So
I would say that a name that does jump out to me, I believe, and please tell me he's not on the kicker list, because if he is, I'll feel stupid. Again, Roman Mathis from Davidson Academy. I thought he had a clutch year. I thought he had gone a long way to a lot of the success that they had there. Had some clutch kicks this year. I really thought that he would make it onto this list. I understand that. Echeverria is all these guys are deserving. He's just one that kind of surprised me, not knowing as much about Owen Taylor as I'd like. But I thought that Roman Mathis had done enough to make this list.
I'll throw a couple more guys into the snub category. Brian Rager, Liberty Creek. I mean, what a year he had leading that Wolves program, and no team from the Midstate ended up with a finalist in 3A, but I feel like he was probably the Midstate strongest candidate to make this list. And then another person is Atticus Fioretta from Mount Juliet that had nearly 15 sacks on the season. So that was another great year from him. It's hard to say that he deserves to be in over these three, but he definitely deserves recognition as well.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, I was gonna go with Brian Rager as well. Rager taking this off, he left Beach. I mean, I don't look at Mr. Football as just the stats. I think you got to also look at the leadership and how we got there. And he left Beach. He takes over a Wolf program last year, this first year in playoffs, and he's done a great job these last few weeks. Just building that. Didn't they score like 6 games with scoring 42 plus?
Mm-hmm.
And so that was really impressive. And even when he was losing last week, he didn't quit. And I feel like that's another thing we have to look at in Mr. Football.
Yep. So now that we've gone over all the finals, let's go back to the beginning of 1A, and I want to get you guys' take on who you think ought to win each one of them. We'll start in 1A. Joe, who you got?
Dawson White, pretty easy, I think. I
Yep.
think he has the best. Just kind of look at everything he's done this year. It's hard to argue against it.
Yep.
I think
I
okay,
agree. Go ahead, Scott.
I was just going to say, I agree that Dawson White, but I wouldn't overlook Cameron Schlick for Dresden. He's been a do-it-all quarterback for them this year, in a year that they've run the table. Very, very large part of that offense success. But I do think that Dawson White is the pick here.
Cam?
Dawson White.
KJ?
Dawson White, man.
All right. 2A. Let's get a winner from Cam. I'll let you start 2A this time. You already said Isaiah Groves.
Isaiah Groves. I mean, 2,000 plus yards, over 30 touchdowns now. Getting to see him last week against a really good Smith County defense, and he kind of just took that game over in the first quarter and said, "You're not beating us tonight." He's dynamite, waiting to happen. So I got to go with the junior from East Robertson.
Yep. KJ, you're next.
Yeah, I kind of agree with Cam. Isaiah Groves, I saw them play Hendersonville early this season, and I didn't really see the potential until later in the season, and then it clicked with me, and I was like, oh, yeah, that's the guy. That's the guy that's working their offense.
Yep. Joe?
Isaiah. I mean, even when East was struggling offensively during the regular season, he found a way to get going. So,
Scott, bring it home.
I agree. Isaiah Groves. Everybody knows what's coming, and they've not been able to stop him yet.
All right. What about 3A? KJ, you go first.
Honestly, I think I'm just gonna have to go with Brandon Witten Jr. What Alcoa's done these few years, they've been in the same place, and he's just helped them do it.
Yeah. Joe?
I'll go Skyland Smith. I think he's had a huge year for Covington. He's played a big role in getting them back, or having them a deep postseason run. Obviously, they got bounced last week, but big year for him, and I'll pick against Alcoa here.
Scott?
I actually agree with KJ. I would go with Winton Jr. from Alcoa. I think that he's just been, lights out. The guy they can depend on week in, week out.
Yep. Cam?
Concur. Brandon Witten Jr., the transfer from IMG Academy out of Florida, has done a great job being the number one wide receiving target for that Tornado team this year. Hard to find a more talented receiver this year.
Let's go on to 4A. A couple of Pearl Cone Firebirds and Macon County Tiger there. Gabe Borders in for the second consecutive year. But among those three, who do you guys think will go? Scott, go first.
Zion Simpson-Smith. To me, he just does a lot like Gabe Borders. He does it all. I think that he has been a very large part of that defense and their ability to shut down players. And when they've called upon him to run, he's always come through.
Cam?
I'll go with Z as well. Just what he's been able to do on both sides of the ball, I think, gives him an edge over Keyshawn. And then Gabe's numbers have not been as strong as they were last year because of that Macon County team finding more weapons. So ultimately, I think what Z's been able to do on offense and defense should win him the Mr. Football Award.
Joe?
I became a fan of Zion last year when I saw him at the Lipscomb Academy scrimmage, and been a fan since. I think it's him or Keyshawn. It's one of those two, but I'll give him the edge.
Yep. KJ?
I think Cam and Scott really hit it off. Like what he does on both sides of the ball, I got to go with Z as well.
Okay. Let's go after 5A. Dominic Reed from Centennial, and then two guys that are going to face off at Page Friday with Kelvin Perkins from Southwind and Page's Eric Hazard. Cam, start us off.
Yeah, this is a tough one for me, but I'm ultimately going to go with the guy that had the regular season award because that's what Mr. Football is. Dominic Reed should win this award.
Scott?
I know who I would love to see love to see get it, but I think that ultimately the winner is going to be Dominic Reed Centennial. Just everything he's done on both sides of the ball, that he had to carry the Centennial team a lot this year. I think that'll be the one thing that really stands out is his two-way ability.
Yep. KJ.
I really respect Dominic's two-way ability and what he's done for Centennial this year. But as a defensive end, I gotta go with Eric Hazard. The defensive ends don't get love, and what he's been able to do this season, just wreak havoc week after week after week. Gotta go with Eric.
All right, Joe.
Dominic Reed. I mean, his two-way presence is can't argue against it. I think.
On to 6A. Boo, Braden, or DeJuan. Who you guys got? KJ starts off.
I've seen DeJuan and I've seen Braden play in person, but I can go on my For You page and see Boo Carter everywhere. So I'm gonna have to go with Boo Carter.
Cam.
Yeah, the Middle Tennessee Cam and it being a regular season award makes me want to go Braden Graham. But ultimately, when you think about a Mr. Football guy, Boo Carter is that guy.
Yep. Joe.
If this was a full season award, I'd say DeJuan Morris, just because of what he's been able to do in the postseason. But it's a regular season award, and if you got a quarterback that threw for 35 plus touchdowns, 1 interception, and over 3,000 yards, that's Mr. Football. So give me Braden Graham.
Scott.
Same, Graham.
D2 single A. Mosley, Shields, or Walcott. Scott, let's go first with you.
Hey, you set the state record in touchdowns. Everybody knows what you're going to do. You're a two-way player and a standout at that, and a leader on your team. If Tyson Walcott isn't, he might as well be the logo.
Yeah, I'll make this real simple. If Walcott doesn't win, we riot.
KJ.
What Cam said, if Tyson doesn't win, we riot. Can we get that on a shirt?
There we go. Joe.
It's Walcott for me, and I get what you guys are saying, but Jalen Mosley is to Jackson Christian what Tyson Walcott is to Friendship Christian. I get what you guys are saying. Unfortunately, his senior year or his junior year got cut short to an injury. But it's Walcott. I mean, you can't argue about what he did. But Jalen Mosley is a heck of a ball player, and he's only going to get better.
Yeah.
Double A. Barrett, Clark, or Law. Joe, you can start it.
This one's tough. I think it's hard to argue against Ty Clark. I'm going to go Clark just because I think he led that FRA team to new heights, whereas Cruz Law is a heck of a ball player, and I would not be shocked at all if he won. But Ty Clark really, he's just upped his game every year, and he led that FRA program to new heights.
Scott.
I agree. I think that Clark is he carried a lot of that offense, not all of it, but a lot of it, and was a large part responsible for FRA's success. Cruz Law's got a lot of players around him. I think it'll be a close vote, honestly. Barrett, I think, will get quite a bit of love here, but to me, it's Ty Clark.
KJ.
This one was hard for me. I respect Ty Clark's game. Thinks what he's done for Franklin Road Academy is really good, but as a defensive guy, I still got to go with my defensive players, so I'm going to go with Cruz.
Yeah, I mean, Cruz is, we talk about the two-way guys, and he's one of those guys. And ultimately, I'll be honest with you, if he doesn't win this award, it's probably because they didn't feed him like some teams would have on the offensive side of the ball. But speaking on that, what Ty Clark meant to that Panther program, I think Ty should win Mr. Football.
Yep. Triple A. Who you guys got? KJ, you can start us off here.
I think it's got to be Caleb Beasley. Caleb has done things for Lipscomb since he was a sophomore. I think we just got to give it to him.
Cam.
As a Tennessee fan, I would love for that to happen. And no slide on Caleb or Carson, but the answer here is Amari Jefferson.
Yeah, looks like Joe's in agreement.
Most explosive player in the state. It's not even close.
Scott.
Yeah, I can't say it any better than what Joe just did. I think Amari Jefferson has been the gold standard for speed and efficiency in this class.
And last but not least, kicker of the year between Chadwick, Echeverria, and Taylor. Joe, I'm going to save you for last because I know these are your guys. So, Cam, you start us off here.
I'm going to hopefully put some good juju here and future volunteer Grant Chadwick.
All right, KJ.
Yeah, I picked Grant Chadwick as my Mr. Football candidate or kicker of the year when we were doing our Mr. Football articles a few weeks back. So I'm gonna stick with my gut and go Grant Chadwick.
Scott.
Yeah, I'm the same way. I think that's why they vote. As much as I would love to see Echeverria get it, I think that Chadwick just has the resume.
All right, Joe.
Really good plug, KJ. It's Chadwick, and it's not even close.
Yep. All right. Those will be announced on the Tuesday following the Blue Cross Bowl over at Nissan Stadium, and hopefully we'll have several area winners that we can talk to and get some nice photos with them and those gorgeous Mr. Football trophies that they're all going to be deserving of winning.
And I will say it would be nice if TWSAA decided to give them out the week before and have a media day where we could talk to coaches before the state championship game. That'd be great too. But
used to do that. Used to do that. Wish they'd go back to it. Definitely wish they'd go back to that. But congratulations to all the finalists and good luck to those deserving players. And we'll see who wins in a couple weeks. We don't have to wait for our Player of the Week awards presented by Miracle Auto Group. We've got 5 finalists for our Player of the Week. Then I'm going to slide back because I was a little quick on the trigger there. So the 5 for this week, all the names. We mentioned pretty much every single one of them in this last segment with Isaiah Groves from East Robertson, Cruz Law from CPA, Oakland's DeJuan Morris, Eli Wilson from Middle Tennessee Christian, and Tyson Walcott from Friendship Christian. If I can get their stats pulled up, I'll tell you about them. So we'll start with Mr. Groves, who had 254 yards rushing, 3 touchdowns on 21 carries, also caught an 84-yard touchdown pass in that win at Smith County that Cam was in presence of last Friday night. CPA's Cruz Law, 87 yards rushing, 4 touchdowns on 11 carries in that win for CPA over FRA to get the Chattanooga. Morris did all his damage in the first half. 18 carries, 174 yards, and 5 touchdowns in that 56-0 drilling of Riverdale in the 6A quarterfinals. Eli Wilson had 220 yards rushing, 3 TDs on 17 carries in their 35-27 win at Columbia Academy to get them to Chattanooga, where they're going to face off with Walcott and the Commanders. Walcott, as we mentioned, set a new TWSAA state record for most rushing touchdowns in a season. He's got 52 now after finding the end zone 6 times against Nashville Christian. Had 228 yards rushing as well for the Commanders in that big win. I took Morris only because he did all of it in the first half. He didn't have to have a carry in the second half. And obviously, I would nod to Walcott, too, with his performance for the whole season. But Morris was my pick just because of kind of the surprise that first half was. Scott went with Tyson Walcott.
6 touchdowns. Everybody knew it was coming. Couldn't stop him still.
Joe went with Cruz Law.
Yeah, I'm a sucker for picking somebody I watched. And not only did Cruz dominate on offense, he was all over the field on defense. And, he just had a really good game Friday night.
And went with Tyson Walcott.
Yeah, second week in a row for me. If you can't count the number of touchdowns on one hand, you get my vote.
Some people can.
KJ agreed with you.
Breaking the record is just insane. That's 6 touchdowns. You know it's coming, and you break a record. Can't match it.
There you go. And the fans were on board with it too. 40.7% of them went for Tyson Walcott. And so with 4 votes out of the 6 this week, it's going to be Tyson Walcott picking up his second Player of the Week nod of the year for the Commanders. And the only question is, would his offensive line join him? They're up for Line of the Week honors for, I believe, the 3rd time. And like the second time is postseason. They're up for it. And they've already won it once in the regular season. So Friendship Christian dominating this category. They're up against Oakland's defense and Page's defense. And Page's defense held Centennial to 94 total yards, 11 rushing, 83 passing in that 14-7 win. Friendship Christian, 470 total yards of offense, 345 on the ground, and obviously Walcott's numbers and 6 touchdowns for him. Then Oakland's defense in that shutout held Riverdale to 117 yards of total offense, 2 sacks, and 4 fumble recoveries in that 56-0 win. But the fans decided to give it another one to Friendship Christian. The defense got it last week. The offense takes it home this time, 48% of the vote.
Well deserved. I mean,
So,
all 3 of these, though, actually great performances.
so congratulations to Friendship Christian's offensive line and Tyson Walcott. They're going to win Miracle Auto Group Player of the Week awards for the second time for the offensive line and for Tyson Walcott. And the Lions are getting it 3rd overall for them. So they're racking up the postseason honors so far. Well, we got a minute. Let's hear from our fine sponsors at Miracle Auto Group.
Hi, everyone. Jim Galvin, Miracle Ford, your Ford dealer in Gallatin, Tennessee since 1980. Great news. Beginning now. When you need service, we can come to you.
Our mobile service van comes to you wherever you are. Whether you need oil change, lube, routine maintenance, warranty, filters, wiper blades, batteries, bulbs, recalls, and more.
Visit our website
or call us now.
Are you ready for a miracle?
Guys, we're losing a lot of games. We're down to 12 this week and 9 next week. So that just gives us a little more time to talk about them. Why don't we go ahead and make it time to pick some winners, huh? It's time for you got. You're gonna love to see this.
Ooh, I like that.
Yeah, Scott and Joe like this one. Everybody did well last week too. And Reggie was 7-3, and
No way, Scott.
yeah. But the one everybody's chasing is the overall title, and Cam is 2 games in front here.
Oh gosh, how do I make up 8 games with like 12 left?
The math isn't mathing.
Not.
Well, there's 21 games left.
I'm gonna have to pick. I'm gonna have to do the "told you so" games and go for that title.
Yeah, I mean, you probably have to have at least a half dozen.
Really, Scott, what we
Next.
need is we need point. What was that? That's 7.
Yeah,
what,
0.007.
Is that 7 thousandths or 700ths that we need him to go up?
It's
So we're
it's
all
James
over 80%.
Bond. It's James Bond. It's 007. I need James Bond.
There you go. One last look at last week with fairly good week across the board, although East Robertson knocked a lot of us into the red in that particular pick.
Yeah.
Yep, and me and Scott both would have went 10-0 if we didn't change in the last hour.
You're right.
Is that my one told you so?
Fans.
No, the fans kept you from it.
Ah,
Yeah.
Fans kept you from it. Yeah.
so close.
Yep. You're close. Yep. He may get one. He may get one before this year's over. Just never
Shout
know.
out to me and Joe for guessing the exact score on Upperman Macon.
Yeah. Nobody was getting to 20 in that game. I think we had a better chance of getting it.
I got the same score, just wrong team.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I give you a half point for that.
Scott, you're a point off on Pearl Cone's score.
Without further ado, let's we're going to go and start with the 6 that are not in our area first. We'll start with Upperman Greenville because that's the one that probably has the most interest to at least us anyway. And we're kind of split. The fans are taking Upperman. Joe's taking Upperman. Reggie's taking Upperman, but 4 of us are in Greenville.
Yeah, I think that this game is going to be kind of a track meet, as far as both of them loving to run, but I don't think it's a track meet as far as the score is concerned. Upperman, they just just squeezed by Macon County last week, and Macon County held their offense to its lowest rushing total of the season. I think that they're going to run up against a team that is just as good or better defensively here. And I expect Carson Quillen to run pretty. I don't want to say wild, but I think that he's going to have enough. He's a force in the backfield, and I think that he'll be the difference maker there in this game.
Yeah, if Upperman wants to win this ball game, they're going to have a huge game from two guys. And I'm going to give you an offensive guy and a defensive guy. Offensively, sophomore Bronson Chaffin. He's got to be able to loosen up that Greenville defense a little bit. He's got to be able to throw the ball downfield against a pretty good Devils secondary. And then on defense for Upperman, Clayton Harris. We talked about him having 25 tackles for loss, going on double-digit sacks. He's got to wreak havoc. He's got to get Quillen in the backfield, not let him get those feet churning. And these teams are so similar. They're extremely good on the defense side of the ball. Offensively, at times they're a work in progress. So this could be a very low-scoring game. But ultimately, I gave Greenville the advantage because they're playing at home.
KJ?
I gave Greenville the same advantage. I mean, like Scott said, there's two defensively sound teams, and Upperman squeezed by last week, so it was tough for me to not pick Greenville. Actually had to call Chris about it, actually.
Joe, you took Upperman, so let's hear it.
I picked Upperman in the state title game. I'm sticking my guns on this one. So simple as that. I think the Bees are going to be really good these next couple of years, and I think this game is the one that sets them on that path. So why not?
And we hope that it is the Bees. I know I do. It'd be great for our coverage.
A lot of talk about a revenge tour for Upperman. That can take a lot of energy out of you too, especially if you hit some adversity. And Greenville's the kind of team that can provide it. I think the gas tank runs dry here. They're going to struggle to score against that defense, and a mistake maybe on special teams sparks Greenville to a 20-point win. Upperman's going to be really good for the next 2 years, but they may need to take a shot in the mouth to kind of set that forward. So I'm going Greenville 27-7.
And our friends at the Upper Cumberland Reporter will have this one live on Facebook if you want to tune in.
Yep. Let's talk South Pitt Oliver Springs for a second. We've got this one pretty lopsided. The South Pitt dismantled Gordonsville last week, and Oliver Springs is kind of the next one on the tracks.
Guys, nobody's been close to South Pitt except MTCS. Nobody. I don't think nothing changes.
Same.
Yeah. Last 10 games they've outscored teams 479-41. They beat Oliver Springs 56-0, and I don't think that that much has changed over the course of the season. Camden Wellington is just a whole lot to contain, I think, for Oliver Springs.
Scott has hit the mark.
Yeah, South Pitt's just become that team, and whoever comes out of that Dresden McKenzie game's in for an absolute fight. That 1A title game could be very, very entertaining too, though. So
setting up to be a good matchup for sure.
Speaking of Dresden, McKenzie will go there next. We're kind of split on that one too. Dresden won the first one big early in the season, but I think Joe noted that McKenzie had several guys out in that first one for McKenzie.
Yeah, they got smacked in the mouth. They had some good dudes out, but beating a team twice in one season's hard. We saw that with Riverdale last week. I think McKenzie, this is a battle-tested team that's gone to state the last 2 years. They know what to do here. Dresden hasn't been in this spot since, I believe, 2016? 2017. Yeah, it was Union City. It was 16, right? Yep. So I think McKenzie gets some payback, but it's a close one. Great quarterback matchup.
Oh, yeah. Excellent.
And we all have this game sneaking into the 20s, but honestly, this could turn into a shootout. I mean, it really could. Dresden has scored over 600 points this year, have not scored less than 28 all year. So if McKenzie holds them under 28, I like the Rebels' chances, but I think that's easier said than done.
Yeah, the Lions are massively talented on the line. I think the trenches are where this game is going to be won. And you look at last week with McKenzie, the Rebels were really fortunate to move past more. Raiders turned the ball over at inopportune times that McKenzie took advantage of. Make no mistake, this is very aggressive and solid defense, but I just think that Dresden's offense will take care of business in this game.
What about Fairleigh and Riverside? KJ's going for Fairleigh in a high scoring game, but the rest of us on Riverside this one.
Me, I not only did I need a told you so, I also needed I saw Fairleigh had made a team forfeit, and I was like, if you're making teams forfeit, you're scared to play. You kind of gotta take that into consideration. So I think it's gonna be a better game than people expect. Still, it could really go either way, but still gotta take Fairleigh.
They make them forfeit, or did they not have transportation? Because that's kind of an issue sometimes.
Yes, KJ saying that's a likely story.
Yeah, I mean, I think Fairleigh could make this a game, but Riverside's healthy. Desmond Thomas, who's been out most of the year, he's healthy. Stone Wallace is healthy. If Riverside had been healthy all year, I probably would pick them to win state, but they're kind of an unknown. Where we've seen East Robertson. I mean, we'll get to our picks later, but yeah, I think Riverside rolls in this game. Fairleigh hasn't played an offensive line or defensive line quite like Riverside's.
Right.
Yeah, we talk about teams with the experience, and Riverside, of course, went home with silver last year. But even the years before that, they had a couple semifinal appearances. So this Riverside team is not they will not be surprised or kind of taken back by being in the semifinal game. They're going to come out and ready to play, and I believe they're at home in this matchup. So. I like Riverside to win. Fairleigh, it's a semifinal game. They're going to come out fired up and ready to go as well, but ultimately just too much Riverside.
Well, Riverside, whoa, hey, my camera here. Riverside, I agree. I think they're going to run the ball and they're going to do well with that. But I think that Fairleigh makes this a game, especially if they can be successful throwing the ball, and that's where their strength is. And I think that if they can take advantage of Riverside's defensive backs and they stay in it, but I think Riverside just has way too many weapons.
Okay. Giles County and Alcoa. Don't think me to say a whole lot about this. Everybody's on Alcoa, fairly large too.
Yeah, I will say though, Giles County offensively has been really good this year. Don't be surprised if they put up more points than most people put up on Alcoa.
Yeah.
I'm not saying they're winning, Joe. What are you shaking your head for?
I think Alcoa is going to force Giles into passing early, and then they're going to basically use their pass rush to work on Giles County, work them into turnovers. I think this is it's just a tall ask for Giles County. This Alcoa defense is just a really, really good defense.
I was generous with my score.
I was incredibly generous with my score.
Yeah.
Me as well.
We've already talked about Upperman and Greenville, so we'll go to Walker Valley and Knox West now. We're all on Knoxville West. This one, I know Page fans are interested in this one because they're hoping to get another shot at Knox West.
Walker Valley has a really good quarterback, but ultimately I just think West's experience from being at these games and the way they handled Powell last week was really surprising to me. I thought that was going to be a good game. So I like Knox West to make it back to Chattanooga.
Now, the only blemish on the Rebels' schedule was a loss to Alcoa. Since then, they've gone 6-0. They're 147 and 14. I think it's 14. They're just they're playing lights out. Evan Schwartz, 2,300 yards passing for Walker Valley. I just don't think that he'll be as effective. I think unless West absolutely just turns the ball over consistently, that this is the Rebels' game to lose.
Joe.
Ditto. I mean, simple as that.
All right. Before we get to the rest of our picks, let's take 100 seconds and hear from our playoff sponsor, Python Line, since we're back in a minute 40. All right. Before we get back onto the picks, a real quick announcement about next week's show. We will not be on Wednesday night as we'll all be traveling to Chattanooga for the Blue Cross Bowl championship games. We will be on Tuesday night at 7 o'clock Central on our usual networks with our YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, and Twitch channels. So make sure and save that time for the Midstate 48 Blue Cross Bowl preview next week.
The good news for you guys though is that if you didn't want to watch it until Wednesday, just wait and go to YouTube on Wednesday.
That's right.
Yeah, one note, just a user note, because there is some people out there that do not know how to use things. So if you go to our 615 Preps page and you do not see it under the videos tab, go to the live tab and it'll be the top video.
Yep, that's all. These are always done live, and just a couple more of these to go this year. But on with the picks, and we will start in Class 2A with East Robertson at York Institute. And we all believe that the Indians are Chattanooga bound with a healthy win over the Dragons of York. Camp, start us off. Let's talk about the Indians for a bit.
Yeah, Isaiah Groves, as I said, should be Mr. Football in 2A, but what really surprised me against Smith County was Elijah. I mean, he was just a force on defense. He was all over the field, and he wasn't just tackling kids. I mean, he was making them pay for catching the football and for running the football. And honestly, so he was a surprise. But this East Robertson offense and defensive line, we talked about what they had to replace, and they have a couple sophomores on that offensive line. They've really stepped up. They've really grown this year. I was really impressed with the way that they handled a very experienced Smith County offensive line. And they'll have their hands full again this week with the York Institute team they're undersized, but Scott, I'm gonna use the line we used the week of the friendship game. They're gritty as hell, and that's just what they are. They're not flashy, but man, they're some football players. And with them being at home, I look for this game to be a close one for a while, and then a late score pushes East Robertson to Chattanooga.
East Robertson has just loads of talent on their side. If they play like they played against Smith, which is reduced penalties, eliminate turnovers, cut out mistakes, don't make mental errors, then East Robertson should win this game in impressive fashion. But with York, they're the antithesis of that. They are, as Cam said, they're gritty. They're blue collar. They are defense first. They run the ball and then they run it and then they run it a little bit more. They pound you. They pummel you. This is kind of the old what's gonna break first? Is the river going to move around the rock, or is the river going to split the rock? And it'll be interesting with these two dichotomies in style, which one wins out.
Yeah, and in my notes, I had the same thing that Scott just said. East Robertson plays a clean game, they win this game. Last week we were all thinking it'd be a closer game, and they played a clean first half, and you saw what they did. And I think that's what's going to happen this week.
Yeah, judging from last week against Smith County, one of the biggest keys was cleaning up the penalty issue, and they did that. And look what happened. And a disciplined East Robertson team is a dangerous East Robertson team, and that's what I expect to come out this week. They've got a long road trip, and it's 140 miles from East Robertson to Jamestown, and that's a long time to think about it. But I suspect that head coach Chase Brooks will have those guys ready to go when they get to Jamestown on Friday night. And we were all taking East Robertson across the board. Even Reggie's taking the Indians this week.
I think East Robertson got a good taste of what they're going to face this week. Last week, super defensive heavy team, and they passed that test with flying colors. So why not do it again this week? Right. They got the athletes. They're going to out athlete them. They're going to out talent them. Give me East Robertson.
Right. Let's look at it. 3A, Dyersburg at East Nashville. Eagles looking for their third straight trip to Chattanooga. Dyersburg, the opponent this time, back on that turf out east. And after the way East Nashville took care of Liberty Creek last week, Dyersburg's in for a test.
Yeah, Dyersburg actually, they have some injuries to some key positions and still found a way last week to come back and beat Covington in what was a great game out in West Tennessee. But I don't think they faced a team quite like East Nashville. This is an East Nashville team that, had they not played Smyrna or FRA, they're probably undefeated right now. They took those two teams deep into those games as well. East Nashville, I just think, is a little more talented, especially defensive side of the ball. So I think they score a couple late after a pretty ugly game early on.
Yeah, I think this game's going to be really a battle who can win the line. And they're going against Dyersburg's 6'4", 330 defensive tackle, offensive tackle, Kalen Edwards. Guys, a force on both sides of the ball. East Nashville has to, they are a running team first, but if they can get to the edge, if Keelan or KJ Johnson can get to the edge, that'll open things up for Martez Lamb, and that will be the difference if the run game stalls. Jordan Houston, I think that he leads an East Nashville team that can actually match up well with Dyersburg. And I think that being said, I like East Nashville because I think just on both sides of the ball, they're playing well.
Last week, me and Chris were at the East Nashville game with against Liberty Creek, and before we could even get to the field, they were ready. I think they really want to get back at Alcoa, and I feel like it was easy for me to pick East Nashville.
It wasn't easy for me. As Joe mentioned, a couple injuries for Dyersburg. I actually had Dyersburg making the state championship game in my predictions at the start of the postseason. But I really like the growth that this East Nashville team has made here over the last 4 weeks, too. This is still a really young football team for East Nashville. Jordan Houston, what he's been able to do on the defensive side of the ball has been outstanding. And then we talk about KJ Johnson, but kind of appeared that they have more than just KJ last week, and I think they do just enough to get back to Chattanooga.
You want to talk about a Mr. Football snub? Jordan Houston wasn't even a semifinalist. Yeah, shameful.
Yep. Yeah, wouldn't be surprised if he finds another interception and maybe takes it to the house this week.
Yep, maybe.
Last week.
Dyersburg's a heavy run team.
Could get a fumble too.
Sure.
Yeah, well, put it this way: if
Oh,
they're putting the
smoke.
ball in the air, that's
That's
good
bad
news.
news. Yeah, it's bad news that
That
they are.
is- Yep.
Over to Pearl Cone, where the Firebirds are going to have Haywood in for that semifinal, and we're in a lot of agreement this week with these picks.
Reggie looked at my picks.
Yeah, athlete to athlete. This will be the best team or Pearls play. They got a lot of really good players athlete wise. This Haywood team's not as good as it was last year, though. They don't have Cordero Walker there anymore. They've suffered some really just awful injuries these last couple weeks. And Pearl, I mean, man, you look at them 3 of the last 4 weeks, they've just played ugly games and still put up over 40 in every single game. They find ways to win. They're just super talented. And I mean, if Cordero Walker was in this, I was at that Pearl Cone Haywood game last year, and it's the best high school football game I've ever watched. I don't think we're going to get that this week, though.
Yeah, as you said, Joe, I think if Cordero Walker was still at Haywood, this is a 10 out of 10. This is a must cover for us. If Cordero Walker it might be spotlight, honestly, if he was still at Haywood. But unfortunately for the Tomcats, he's not. And I think the last couple of weeks we've seen a Pearl-Cone team that has come out and struggled in the first half of both games, struggled big time with penalties. I look for them to clean that up, and I look for them to come out of the gate quick and fast in this one, get up early and coast to a victory.
The scary thing is we've not seen Pearl Cone's best game yet, and if Haywood gets that, it'll be over early. Pearl has another level that I think that Coach Brunetti is still trying to reach. Camarion Miller, really good quarterback for Haywood. He leads them on the ground and in the air. I think they want him to throw. I think Pearl would love that because he has 13 touchdown passes, but he has 10 picks, and they will just feast on that all day long. So I think they have a running back. He's a load at 5'10", 205, Camonte Williams. He's kind of a north-south runner. He has a little bit of edge speed, but he reminds me a lot of Zion Simpson Smith in that he is a battering ram. I think Smith will be charged with stopping him. If they stop that run game and force Haywood to pass, I think it bodes very well for the Firebirds.
I just think we're going to have scorched earth with every Pearl Cone opponent they play. It's the type of season that usually ends up in a gold ball, and the Firebirds are not going to be content with anything less than that. And like Scott said, we have not seen their best game yet. It's coming, whether it's this week or possibly next week. I think we're going to see another level of Pearl Cone we've not really seen this year.
They remind me a lot of Knox West last year.
Yeah,
By
they
far,
really do.
by far the most talented team in their class,
Mhm.
and they just run through everyone, even if they're not playing their best game.
Yeah, it's a scary proposition.
Yeah, it's very similar.
Yeah, totally agree with that. That's a great point. We're going to skip 5A because it's our spotlight game with Page and Southwind. We're going to go to Oakland and Bradley Central next. Again, we're an agreeing bunch this week. I mean, we're all across the board going with most of the teams in our area. So,
Cam, stop picking the same games as me.
If you're in the Midstate and you didn't pick Oakland after what they did to Riverdale, I think you're just biased against Kevin Creasy.
You're a hater. I mean, this player for player, this is probably the best matchup of the week. I mean, Boo Carter, Marcus Gurry over at Bradley Central, they've had a heck of a year. Then you got Dwan Morris, who's quickly establishing himself as one of the best 2025 players in the state. You could argue the best right now, playing wise. I just think Oakland a little too deep. They've been in this spot where Bradley Central has not.
Yeah.
To beat the King, you gotta take them down. Nobody's done that. I made the mistake of picking against Oakland last week, knowing what was going to happen. It is what it is. I'm not making that mistake again, and got the Patriots rolling. I think line play is going to be pivotal here.
Huge.
Yeah.
That's ultimately why I picked Oakland. The strengths of Bradley Central, as you mentioned, Joe, Marcus Gorey and Boo Carter, they're in the secondary, and if they're having to make tackles on Twan Morris, Oakland's doing exactly what they want to do, and that's pound the rock. And that spells bad things for the Bears.
Well, Bradley's got a lot to play for in this game. The coach is going for the school record in victories. This is Bradley's only their second Final Four since 1969. They've done a lot of good things. They held Bearden to only 71 yards in the second half of that game, and their defense, they call them the black hole. They're going to be tasked with stopping Dewan Morris and Ashton Jones, and we can't forget about Ashton Jones
And Avery Hainsworth.
That 1-2 punch, and Avery Hainsworth. That's a good point. And Avery Hainsworth. But the Bears lost their quarterback, Caleb Martin. I believe it was a lower leg injury. And I think that, that takes something out of Bradley, I believe. I think Oakland will feast in this game.
Yeah.
The first time that we've not seen an Oakland Maryville semifinal since 2013.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is. It does feel weird for sure not having that as
like Twilight
as a
Zone
Friday game. But after what Oakland did in the first half to Riverdale, I could see nothing but Oakland winning this game and it not being that close.
Pop quiz. Who was the team? What was the semifinal matchup in the year before Oakland and Maryville started?
I don't know, man. I was in
It
Indiana.
was Maryville and
Maryville and who? Chris, don't you look it up?
Probably
it was
Riverdale.
Maryville and
Riverdale.
Nope.
No, it was a West team, wasn't it?
Nope.
Cam?
Nope. It would have
Ravenwood.
been nope.
Stiegel.
Nope.
No,
Smyrna.
Nope.
Hendersonville.
Hendersonville was in the championship game against Maryville that year.
Juwan Jennings.
I said
Blackman.
Blackman.
I didn't hear Blackman.
I didn't say
bad,
Blackman.
I was about to say. It was Juwan Jennings.
I said every other Rutherford County school but Blackman.
You didn't mention Eagleville.
Rockvale.
Raphael wasn't even a thought then.
No, it wasn't.
Thanks for helping out all you people on the side over here that have been commenting. We could have used you.
No, that they knew the rules. They followed the rules, Scott. They were.
Did they get it right?
They didn't guess, dude.
Nobody said anything.
Nobody said anything. They were playing by your rules.
Yeah.
Yeah. No Googling.
Don't Google yourself. You won't like what you find.
That's the truth.
All right. I believe that brings us back to this other 6A semifinal, Houston and Brentwood.
Hey, look. It's all blue.
Again.
Again?
Yeah.
It was like, darn, how am I making up ground?
The frustration is palpable here.
Well, you and I differ on Dresden, McKenzie, and Upperman Greenville. So,
yeah.
Yeah. I'm glad you threw that up there.
Yeah, I had to throw that up there because, that nice little moment of levity right there for all of us.
I think this could be game of the night. Personally, I think this is going to be a lot. I think this is going to be a lot of fun. You talk about two teams that are very similar. Yeah, I mean, you got a Brentwood team coming off a pretty close win over Ravenwood, even though they were never really. Once they got going in the second half, they were never really in danger. And then a Houston team that beat the heck out of Germantown last week in kind of a surprising result. Line play, again, it's going to be pivotal here. Can Brentwood's line hold up against Houston's front? This game being at Brentwood is huge, and I went with the team I picked to make the state title game.
I mean, Baylor Hayes has done a tremendous job for this Bruins team. But I think the difference in this game is I think Brentwood will be the team that's able to run the football better. And I think that ultimately when it comes time for playoff football, defense and running the football is the top two things to win. And I like the Bruins to be able to do both of those just a little bit better than Houston.
Yeah, I struggled with this one a lot. And looking at it, maybe I should have taken Houston. I was very close because, like Joe said, this one I don't think that there is a more equal matchup in this semifinal round. Quite frankly, Chandler Day, a quarterback for Houston, he spreads the ball around. He does have a favorite receiver in Shawnee Jones, but who's 6'2", 185. But he does spread the ball around. Damon Cisa is a good. He's 1,000-yard back, 16 TDs. I think this game hinges in the Brentwood trenches, specifically the pass rush from Orifice, Ruger Humble, and Kaiulu Mikatrado. Gosh, I apologize for that. I'm sure I butchered it. The front line of Brentwood, I think that's where it's going to hinge. But I think ultimately this comes down to a field goal. And if it comes down to special teams, it's Brentwood, and that's why I went with them.
Like Kim said, Baylor Hayes came in and he's gotten a whole school and community behind him, and that's hard to do when you're the new kid on the block. And so I had to stick with my gut, stick with my state champion prediction, and go with Baylor Hayes and the Brentwood Bruins.
Yeah, I've got Brentwood in the championship game. But the thing about my score prediction is this. We typically don't see close games in the semifinals. Surprised me with one. I think this could be one of the closer ones, but I'm picking more larger margins of victory this week unless they can prove me wrong. Just for some reason, I just don't think we're going to see a lot of close games this week.
Might have to bring apologies back for that one.
Yeah. But I do think Houston's going to give Brentwood a lot of trouble and force them to play a solid defensive game, especially in the second half. And I think it's where Brentwood eventually finds a gap and gets away and is able to punch their ticket to Chattanooga. That's where I think they're going to end up. All right. I got one more ad I need to run for our fine folks at Miracle Auto Group before we hear from one Mr. Reginald in our spotlight pick. So let's do that right now.
Join thousands who fought their miracle from Miracle Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram in Gallatin. People like Caleb of Hermitage, Haley and Kenneth of Lebanon, Stacy of Gallatin, Kevin of Portland. People like Sam and Haley of Mount Juliet, Kamars of Murfreesboro, Angela of Westmoreland, Wendy and Michael of Hendersonville.
Stop dreaming and start driving.
Black Friday sales event at Miracle Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram in Gallatin.
Are you ready for a miracle?
Also, so our spotlight game is Southwind at Page, and all of us are taking the Patriots and what we think may be the closest game of the week.
I mean, maybe just 2 points, 1 point, 3 points.
Chris, you had the same pick for Brentwood Houston, and I had the same pick for Brentwood Houston score wise.
I also had the same pick as Brentwood and Houston score wise.
That might be a typo on my part.
Mine is not.
We all have Page.
We all have Page. That's what matters.
Yeah. I'll tell you what. All right. Let's see. Cam, you've got 24-22 Page.
Correct.
Mine's 28-24 Page.
Okay.
Just FYI. I think it's the closest one. KJ's got 28-26 Page.
Yeah.
Scott's got 17-16 Page. Joe's got 24-23 Page. And we'll see Reggie's pick in a minute. And
So closer than what I said. I had 2. You had what was the difference in yours,
Yep.
Chris? 4.
I had 4.
And then KJ 2, Scott 1, Joe.
Nobody more than 3 or 2 actually. Yeah, we've all got 1 or 2 point. 4. 4 is mine, and everybody else is like 1 or 2 points.
And that tells you why it's our spotlight game. You know, we had discussions behind the scene on spotlight, and this one went out because of this. It's just a stylistic matchup. Southwind's dynamic offense and a great sophomore quarterback in Kelvin Perkins, Mr. Football finalist, versus Mr. Football finalist Eric Hazard. And one thing, the reason why I went Page is we hear about Kelvin Perkins, but we hear about Eric Hazard too, but we forget about Brendan Haynes and forget about Wemash. Is that right? In the secondary, and then Weebush, and then you talk about ever since Ronan O'Connell's returned, what Ethan Cunningham's been able to do running the football, this Patriot team is on a roll, and I think that they're, we talk about revenge tours, and they've not used that word, but that's pretty much what it's looking like. Is they may be one of the hungrier teams in the state.
Yeah, I have Page because after seeing Page in person and what their defense does, I talk about it every week because I was just so shocked. I've never seen a defense do that. 8 sacks in the first half, 6 in the second, 14 total. And we also just talk about what, like we talked about the last week, running the football and defense. That's where we see. And I feel like Page can do what we thought Beach and Henry County could do to Southwind.
Yeah, I think that Southwind quarterback Kelvin Perkins, I think, is going to cause them quite a bit of problems. I think that the Patriots will try to contain him with Hazard on the line. I'll be surprised if they don't spy him with somebody like Ains at the linebacker to keep him in the pocket and from getting too far, breaking contain with the ball. And then I think they stop gaps with Rathbone and the defensive line. This Jaguar team is just they put points on the board. It really is a contrast in styles, but their defense has pitched 5 shutouts too. I think that Weebush and Cunningham are going to be tested in the defensive backfield, but I think ultimately this Page defense, they know what they're going up against.
Yeah, for me, the key to this game is, will Jonathan Palmer, through the passing game, get Page's offense going? Southwind's front 7 is really good. Like Scott said, their defense hasn't given up a ton of points this year, and that's because their defensive line especially is really good. If Jonathan Palmer can stretch the field to get it to where they're afraid of the passing game, and then you can run the ball down their throats with Ethan Cunningham, that's going to bode really well for Page. But this is not the kind of game where you want it to get into a shootout. If it does that, that fits Southwind perfectly. Page needs to keep this a low-scoring game and be physical, play Page football. So.
Yeah, I look at the experience factor with Page. I mean, this is a group of seniors that's been here the last 2 years and have done it, and that's going to serve them well, especially against a Southwind team that's still, fairly green to the playoff scene. I mean, it's a very talented Southwind team, but I think playing it at Page with the experience they've got, that's enough for me. I've got them by 4.
Yeah, and just a quick shout out on that graphic. Great job, Chris.
Yeah. Always nice to have a little backdoor where you can work on it while you guys talk. Oh, Reginald.
It's time for Reggie to make his semifinal picks. This week's video pick, Southwind Jaguars and Page Patriots. He's made his decision, and he's taking the Jaguars, Southwind High School. Reggie, you just had to pick a cat, didn't you?
Lots of heads went down.
Reggie, you just lost a lot of support from the Page community.
Yeah. Let them marinate for a minute.
By the way, I will say sick logo for Southwind. I mean, I know it's Jacksonville's logo with different colors, but it looks so much better than it ugly too.
Old school Jags logo. Yeah, that's really good. I knew where
Reggie.
it was going. I knew where it was going because they're a cat.
He's an agent of chaos.
Did you at least leave him at home, Scott, or did you take him with you?
Oh heck no! I didn't bring a cat on a road trip.
Okay.
I don't know what else to say about that. I mean,
I think we're all struggling right now, actually.
this is the interesting development of the week right here with Reggie going that way.
I think everybody's
Guys.
stunned.
Patriot players, if you're watching this, it's a daggum cat. Do not worry about that pig. It's going to be okay. Y'all go out there and play your football game.
Yeah, speaking into existence. I mean, yeah.
Little pep talk there.
Don't shoot the messenger when I come to practice tomorrow, please.
Yeah, Reggie's my cat. I mean,
Not my cat.
It's
Yeah,
my
they're
cat.
they're gonna have signs that says cat season.
Yeah,
Well,
I'm here for it though. Yeah, go for it. Let it happen. You know, let it fuel you. I guess.
hey,
All
I
right.
took the Patriots. Just remember that.
Yeah.
I just
yeah.
remember,
Everybody,
I just
every
worked-
human on this panel took the Patriots. Please understand that.
Yeah, just remember that I just worked for the cat. That's all.
Yeah. Let's recap real quick before we close up shop. There's our picks for the out of area semifinal games. We're all on South Pitt. We're split basically on Dresden and McKenzie. We're all on Riverside over Fairlake except for KJ. We've got Alcoa over Giles County. We're kind of split on Upperman and Greenville as well. We've all got Knoxville West over Walker Valley. Coming back to our team's games, we've all got East Robertson over York. We've all got East Nashville over Dyersburg. We're taking Pearl-Cohn over Haywood. We've agreed completely on Oakland over Bradley Central. We've agreed completely on Brentwood over Houston. Reggie went Turncoat, went Southwind. The rest of us are on the Patriots. And that is all the damage that we can do previewing some semifinal games for this Thanksgiving holiday weekend. Yeah, I'm still feeling the effects of that pick. That's
I knew it was coming, and I'm still stunned.
I just want to know, Scott, when he makes those picks, as soon as you hit stop recording, do you be like, "You daggum cat, why couldn't you just pick who I picked?"
No, I don't, because first of all, he is a cat and he doesn't listen to a dang thing I say anyway. And he's a cat. He's finicky. Don't take it personally. As just how he's feeling in the moment.
Yeah.
I switch a brand of food, he could change his mind. But it is what it is. He's picked Paige quite a bit, I think, this year. So, and he's lost his share of games. So, like you said, don't let it. Don't let it. If you need to use it for fuel, do what you need to do. But
way to soften the blow.
Yeah.
All right, last word before we get out of here, guys. Who's the least stunned here? Cam, I'll let you go first.
Headline, Colton Friday Night Lights. This is what you've worked all season for. One game away, 48 minutes away from getting to play for a gold ball. Go out there and leave everything on the field. Enjoy it. These are memories that'll last a lifetime. Not everybody gets these chances. There's only 4 teams in each classification that get to say that they get to practice on Thanksgiving. Enjoy practice in the morning, and enjoy being around your teammates and family. And happy Thanksgiving to all our viewers. I hope everything is going good in your life, and have a good Thanksgiving with your families. Take time to appreciate the small things, because we never know when those small things will disappear.
I never got to play on Thanksgiving, or Thanksgiving week, practice on Thanksgiving. So definitely take it in, soak it up. Go thank your mom and dad or whoever you have with you, because without them, football, there's a lot that goes into it behind the scenes. So go ahead and thank your parents and play your hearts out. And remember to pick up a player this week, and let's play some good football.
yeah, piggyback on what KJ said. Yeah. First of all, remember that that this high school experience doesn't end just for the students; it also ends for the parents. This is the for some of them, this is the last game that their kids, the last game their daughters may cheerlead at or play in the band at. I would, I've been through this with my own daughter. Soak it in, remember it, do your best, film it, because you're going to want to see it later, when they're off and grown. So, you know, for all you parents out there who, this may be the end of their high school experience. I feel you. I do. I understand. I've been there. It's hurt, but it hurts. But it's part of the progression. It's what you've got them this far and they're moving forward. So enjoy that as much as you possibly can. Black Friday's coming up. Please visit our friends over at Miracle Ford, Miracle Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep. I'm leaving one out. Over in Gallatin, if you're thinking about buying one, remember they support this channel. They've supported all our high school coverage and all that. So get over there. But most of all, for all of you out there who are either traveling to a game or traveling for Thanksgiving, please be careful. We enjoy your following us. We love interacting with you on the field. Please be careful and please have a wonderful Thanksgiving.
Yeah, I feel like crap, so I'll keep it short and sweet. Enjoy the games on Friday. Happy Thanksgiving, everyone. And yeah, that's all I got.
Thanksgiving morning practices are fun to go out and just hang out and just kind of watch and see how the teams, react and interact with one another because it's different. It's a special time. And if you're practicing tomorrow morning, take it in, enjoy it, soak it in, and just lock in on this Friday night because it's like these guys said, you may not get another one. It's a big game. It's a big step. And I wish all of you all the best of luck and hopefully a safe and happy Thanksgiving. And make sure you guys watch us Tuesday night on this very show, as I'm going to have a special announcement about the future of this show, or about the future of 615 Preps. So make sure to join us Tuesday night for some news that I think you guys are really going to enjoy. So that's all I got. For Joe, who is bolted to get a tissue, for Scott, for Cam, for KJ, and for all of you who make this thing what it is, thank you so much for joining us. We'll see you Saturday morning at 9 o'clock for the scoreboard show. Paige, I'll see you guys in the morning bright and early, and looking forward to that breakfast as well. So happy Thanksgiving, everybody, and we will talk to you very, very soon. Take care, everybody.
Why is it cold?
Where's the turkey?
Why is it cold in Indiana? I'm freezing.
All right, Joe's back. I could say goodbye and so long, everybody. We'll talk to you guys on Saturday. So long.